What's up, guys? It's Devin Harrington, the average Gen Xer, and welcome back to my channel, where today we are taking a look at some stories about some diabolical people who rehomed, abandoned, or euthanized their pets because they had a baby. So let's check it out. But first, this is the part of the video where I encourage all animal lovers out there, please consider fostering or volunteering on site for your local animal shelter. This is my foster Goldie. I've had her for going on 2 months almost. And she went to an adoption event today, and she did get a couple of people that took her information, so she is getting some interest, and she's going to another event tomorrow. So if you watch my content, you probably know that I've had her longer than any other foster that I've shown on this channel, and sometimes it takes a while for a dog to find the right home, and that's okay. So if you are unable or unwilling to do long-term foster, but you want to help out, every shelter on earth is looking for short-term fosters. So when someone like me goes out of town for a week or a couple of days, a short-term foster would step in and take the animal while the regular foster is out of town. So it's a great way to help. It's a very necessary and needed aspect of the foster shelter system. So please give it some thought. Do it for the animals. Thank you. Okay, so first post here is by Seed Distribution, and it's called People Who Give Up Pets After Having Kids. And I actually decided to do this post because of just one post on the child-free subreddit talking about this subject. And then I just happened to do a search, and there's so many great posts about people who know people who have had children and just like threw their pets away. And so it is very disheartening and gives you just the ick to think of doing that. Anyway, so Seed Distribution says, people who give up pets after having kids. What is wrong with you? Pets are just as valuable. You committed to take care of an animal and suddenly you can't do that anymore because you had a baby. I resent people who give up pets after having kids, and I have seen this so much nowadays, and I hate how normalized it is. Animals deserve a home. Yes, this is a touchy subject because obviously some animals are not going to be ideal siblings for your kids. And so you may need to rehome, but that is fairly rare. If you have animals, they are your family and they should be considered. And if you have a kid, then everybody's got to learn to live together. Geologist 1013 commented, I generally try to be a civil person, but I spent many years when I was more able-bodied volunteering in my local shelters. We salute you, geologist. And all I can say about this is fuck those people forever. Yeah, you will see people bring in their 14-year-old dog to just give it to the shelter. And the woman is, heavily pregnant. It's sick. Would you give up your baby to go get a puppy? Because you're doing the same thing. There's very little difference. And you can come for me about that. But for the most part, society has evolved and we realize that pets are family and they should be treated as such. Okay, next post is by someone who deleted their account, and it's titled, People Who Get Rid of Their Pets Because They Decide to Have Children Make Me Sick. And yeah, this is a hard choice, maybe, for people who do this. I mean, I would imagine it's a hard choice. If you've had an animal for years, how could it not be a hard choice? But unfortunately, there are lots of people out there who consider cats and dogs and any other animal to be beneath humans. And so they don't really have feelings and they don't really count. A baby is much more important. Yeah, well, your pet isn't going to grow up to be a fentanyl addict. So there's that. Anyway, that was bitchy of me, but hey, I'm a bitch. She says, I don't understand how someone could get rid of their pet because they now have a kid. How do people not view their pets as family? Exactly, person who deleted their account. I can't imagine getting rid of my pets regardless of any situation. Yeah, I was almost going to be homeless if I didn't find a place real quick a couple of months ago, and I would have been sitting out on the sidewalk with my dogs because Why would I ever give up my dogs? They are my children. They go on. You get a pet and you should have it for the rest of its life. Yes, ideally. In a perfect world, every pet that is adopted would live out the rest of their life happy and loved. You make a commitment to that animal. You can't just bring a pet into your household, love it, and care for it for a while, and then abandon it because the new crotch goblin is more important. No, you make time to care for the pet that is also your family. Yes, 100,000%. Imagine how sad and confused these pets are that are suddenly abandoned or surrendered. Yeah, they are. They sit in the corner of the kennel with their head hung down because they don't know why they're in this loud, noisy, concrete place with tons of other animals, and they just want to go home with their family. But their family was too busy putting a nursery together to walk the dog. It's just pathetic that people do this. It's got to be, I want to believe that it's ignorance that causes people to do this and not just an absolute lack of compassion and an empty, cold heart, because those people shouldn't be having kids either. They go on. And some mombies will claim, well, I don't have time to care for the pets anymore. Too bad. The pet was there first. Fuck yeah, they were. Maybe you should have thought a bit harder before deciding to have a crotch goblin. Semen demon is also a favorite term for children of mine. Such a BS excuse. I guess some people are just garbage and shouldn't even have pets in the first place, though. End rant. I mean, there's nothing this person has said that is untrue. Unfortunately, it has to be a rant because we have to normalize that animals count too, and you cannot just toss them away because you have a baby coming or another baby coming. Pets are your family. You got to make it work. Because if you can't, then you probably shouldn't be having kids. Cinder Charger commented, and they get a new pet, usually a young puppy or a kitten, of course, after a few years again, because the kid really wants one. Yeah. I mean, in my humble opinion, society, particularly in the US, but society in general, is just way too fucking child obsessed. The fact that there are people who don't even soothe their kids when they're screaming on an airplane because, oh, well, they're a kid. That's what they do. I mean, how do you live with yourself? It's unbelievable. The people that lack compassion and lack any kind of nurturing instinct, and yet they're reproducing. I mean, some of those pets are lucky they were surrendered to the shelter. Byronic Aesthet said, and then they let the crotch goblin manhandle and run after the new pet as if it's a wind-up toy. Yeah, that's disgusting too. I mean, children need to learn how to respect and care for animals. That's why I am so thrilled every time I see really young children coming to the barn where I have my horse. I mean, how lucky are kids that get to grow up caring for large animals? It teaches you so much about life. It's not just about being around animals. So if you get a puppy or a kitten for your kid, it is your duty to teach that child to behave correctly. But if you're someone who gave your pet away because you were pregnant, you probably don't know how to do that either. Proteins 911 said, I know a family that rehomed their 12-year-old dog because child number 2 was on the way. Oh, this just like boils my blood. They had the dog since it was a puppy, 12 years old. So, you know, even if it's a Chihuahua that might live to 18 or 19 or 20, this dog knows nothing but this family. This dog is part of this pack, and you are just throwing it away. And dogs are pack animals. The worst thing that can happen to a dog is to be separated and abandoned by their pack. Don't get me started, y'all. She goes on, they had the dog since it was a puppy. As you'd expect, around 3 years later, the family now has a new puppy. I was furious. I am furious just reading this, Proteins. The family at least recognizes that they made a mistake in rehoming. They regret the decision and wish they could undo it. I still think they're shitty people, though. Well, you're not wrong. They are shitty people. I don't get the we won't be able to walk it as often. What the fuck does that even mean? You're going to take the infant out to get some air, right? You're going to walk the baby every day like you're supposed to let them get some air and sunshine and visual stimulation. So the dog goes with you on the walk. It's not that hard to figure out. People are just fucking lazy and self-absorbed. And yet it's us child-free people who are called selfish. That's some irony for you. Proteins 911 goes on. I think most dogs would rather experience less walks temporarily than live with a new unknown family. Yes, dogs will adapt. When I started my PhD program, I found myself much busier and struggled to walk my dogs as often. You know how I handled it? I signed them up for daycare a couple of times a week so they could still get enough exercise and socialization, I might add. People are just selfish and lazy. Yep. They'd rather give up their dog than hire a freaking dog walker. Yeah, because a lot of people convince themselves that animals do not have feelings, even though science and like casual human observation, if you have a brain in your head, has shown that animals have as rich of an emotional life as people do. They are individuals just like us. They get attached, they have preferences, they are intelligent, they know when you're abandoning them. And we should make it illegal. Here's something I would do if I was in charge of the world. If you show up at the shelter with your pregnant wife and your elderly dog to give the dog away, immediate jail time. I mean, that the freaking baby should be born in jail too, because it's just ridiculous that we allow this. If someone walked into CPS and said, here, take my kids, I don't want them, I'm getting a puppy, people would be up in arms over that. But the reverse is like no big deal because it's just a dog. Okay, this is the post that actually made me want to talk about this. This is by Mariposita. Nothing makes me more sick than people who discard their pets after having children. Apologies if this isn't the right place for this rant. Please remove if not allowed. Oh, this is absolutely the right place, Mariposita. I'm fuming today because I saw that someone I know was rehoming her cat of 9 years because, quote, she doesn't have time for it with a new baby. It's a fucking cat. How much time does a cat take? It doesn't take any time. Cats do their own thing. As long as they have food, water, and a clean litter box, you're good to go. Pet them when they want to be petted. Oh my God. All right, let's continue screaming into the void, folks. That's ridiculous within itself. Yes, you are correct, Mariposita. But what's really getting to me is that my neighbors, who up until this point were good friends, texted my child-free husband and I that they euthanized their healthy 4-year-old lab this morning because it wasn't working out anymore because they had twins a month ago. They put their healthy young dog down. I mean, shame on these people. That should be illegal. You should at least get a goddamn fine for killing your dog. And absolutely, who the fuck is the vet that did this? Why? Why can you walk into any vet's office and say, hey, I want to kill my dog. Can you do it for me? This is so fucked up. So we will continue until it becomes normalized to consider this fucked up. Mariposita goes on. I've watched this dog for them many times over the years, and she was an absolute sweetheart that loved her parents. They used to take her everywhere, camping, hiking, you name it. I enjoyed spending time with her too, but the second they had children and she wasn't convenient to them, they euthanized her without trying to rehome her or even take her to a shelter. Oh, fuck these people. That's all I have to say about that. Mariposita goes on, I just can't fathom how having a baby could make you suddenly think of your pet as something disposable. Just disgusting. And they added an edit. I agree that it's best for unwanted animals to be rehomed, yes, to someone that will take care of them. But euthanizing for no real reason is just awful. Yes, and it is technically up to the vet, but it should be illegal. You should not be able to put down a healthy animal that is your animal, that is in a home. I mean, let's not even talk about the millions of pets who are euthanized daily because there's no room. I just don't understand. I'm speechless. I'm speechless that these people are raising twins. They are raising kids, and they're going to raise these kids to believe that it's perfectly fine to kill your dog because you have kids. I mean, God, why don't we have to give people a license to have kids? I mean, is it that hard? Fucking A, man. Just unbelievable. The comments on this post, Mewling Rothbart said, I got 3 of my cats this way. No time, no interest. What if my baby is allergic? Fuck off. Give me your kitty. Pets, treats, belly rubs, hand-crocheted blankets, tuna flakes, occasional sushi, bits of turkey and cheese from my sandwiches, heated blankets in the winter, their own fan in the back room when it's summer. The oldest of these cats lived to be 19. The other 2 were 17 and 18. No regrets. Mewling Rothbart, we salute you. I love your style. Specific Button 1521 said, we got our dog, a black Labrador Lab Chow Mix, from Facebook that way too. He was an unwanted Christmas puppy. The people rehoming him had a nice house with a fenced-in backyard, a 4-year-old girl, and a 2-year-old boy. Our dog was about 8 to 10 weeks when we got him early in January of 2015. He has been the smartest, sweetest, most well-behaved, loyal pup you could want. He would have been perfect for them, but their loss, he's now perfect for us. He would get along great with your kitties, as he thinks he's a cat himself. Regina Georgian said, chows are so cute. Total Fan Freak 2012 said, that is always the saddest. I remember calling into the shelter because enough time had finally passed to get a new family member after our other passed away. I love all animals and I foster when I can. Props to you, Total Fan Freak. But all the ones there were too big. They told me, oh, just wait a few months. After Christmas, we have loads of pets people abandoned because that wasn't the present they wanted or figured out they couldn't take care of or afford them. Oh, my God. Perry Pagan said, same here. 3 cats, one of which was stolen by my ex, eventually. Gods rot him. These cunts rang a rescue running friend of mine saying they'd find someone to put them down if she didn't take them. Emotional blackmail, too, on top of being complete assholes. Apparently, they weren't acting right because of the multiple... This user sounds British, just going by the language, but they have the ultimate name for kids, and that's cum trophies. Apparently, the cats weren't acting right because of the multiple cum trophies these tossers had squeezed out in quick succession. These fuckers had already tried to murder them once, but the vet refused, good on that vet, and gave them my friend's number. Friend rang me, knowing I was after fur kids, and I accepted all 3. The fuckers turned up, dumped the carry cases, and bolted. Refused to give me their vet records. Yeah, because they probably didn't have any. Both boys had behavioral problems related to living in a high-stress environment and multiple breaks in their tails. So the cats were stressed out living with these kids. So it's better for the cats that they got rehomed. But these people tried to have their cats put down just because they didn't like the way they were acting around their stupid kids. I mean, yes, okay, it goes without saying. If you have a dog who shows aggression toward your infant, there's a problem. If you have a cat who tries to smother your infant, there's a problem. Those animals do need to be rehomed, not put down. But the animals who react that way to infants and children are a small fraction, a very small fraction of animals who suddenly find themselves with a human sibling. Most animals are wonderful with children. Perry Pagan goes on. The girl was very reactive to being touched, She's probably got manhandled by the stupid kids. I used to shed tears at what they'd had to endure. My two boys lived to 18 and 19. They were my joy and a good excuse for me to never have children when intrusive breeders tried to recruit me. Tourmaline82 commented, I suspect this might be how my Julius ended up as a stray before I adopted him. He's incredibly chill, affectionate, gets along with my other cat, no litter box issues of any kind, doesn't scratch my furniture, no health problems other than a little catney. Is that acne for cats? I have an American bulldog who gets some canine acne on his head sometimes. They go on, even lets me rub his belly. He's basically the perfect cat. Someone obviously loved him as a kitten, and yet he ended up on the streets of Denver. Thank goodness someone took him to the Dumb Friends League shelter. Dumb Friends League shelter? Is that referring to best friends? I don't know. I don't know why they're saying that. If you do, please let me know. Okay, last post for today is by someone who deleted their account, and it's called People Who Give Up Their Pets Because They Had a Baby. What the fuck? I want a dog really bad, but I am not in the position to responsibly have one at the moment, so I torture myself by looking at the Craigslist pets page. The amount of people I see giving away their pets because they had kids and just can't handle both is insane. Yes, that's why we have to normalize thinking of that concept as insane so people will realize it's not okay. They go on. I saw an ad today that was a 9-year-old corgi being given away. You've had this dog for 9 years, and now you're going to get rid of her because you had a baby? I can't imagine how that pup is going to feel when she's given to a stranger for good. Well, dogs adapt quickly and they learn to love whoever they are with because they are higher beings. And that's dogs didn't get to be where they are today without being resilient. But dogs that are left at the shelter, even though that may be the only place for them to go, the dog is not happy. The dog is not romping around at the shelter. The dog is sitting in a kennel, hanging its head. Some of them even howl out of sadness. So, I mean, these people should have to have a baby cam on the dog in the shelter that they have to watch. We're making women watch fucking ultrasounds before they get an abortion. Let's make people who want to give up their pets at the shelter have to watch what the dog goes through. They go on. It's just fucking depressing. Dogs are family. They are your children. Absolutely. If you have a child already and then have another baby, are you going to give up your first child? No. Why should a pet be any different? Let's read that again for the people in the back. If you have a child already and then you have another baby, are you going to give up your first child? No. Why should a pet be any different? Yes, please tell me. Tell me why a pet is any different. And then there's an edit. 1, to clarify, yes, I realize that when a pet becomes aggressive toward a baby, it's in their best interest to figure out a different situation. As I said earlier, that must be a very difficult decision to make, but I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about people who are just like, I don't have enough time now. I don't have the energy to keep up with both, etc. And I see a lot of those ads, unless they are forgetting to include the very important detail that their dog has been aggressive towards their children in the ads. 2, yeah, sure, it would be a better situation for the dog to get given to a better home instead of it being ignored, terrorized by children, or chained up in the backyard and neglected. That's what I grew up with, so I'm just going to move on. But that's my point. That's why I haven't spoken to my stepfather in over 20 years. Piece of shit. Moving on. But that's my point. People should be better than that. Their pet should still be a priority in their life, and so should teaching their children to respect animals. Yes. And 3, in my eyes, getting a pet is just as big of a commitment as having a child. It will only be cut shorter because, unfortunately, animals don't live as long as us. Well, that is the worst part of being a pet parent, is that you will very likely outlive your baby. But that's what nature intended. And when you take on an animal, you should have it in your mind that you are taking them on for the rest of their life, and it is your job to deliver them to a dignified and peaceful death when the time comes. In my humble opinion, they go on. But when you get a pet, unless you are clearly fostering, you should plan on having them until the end, just as you would a child. Yes. I understand there may be certain situations in which rehoming your pet could be the best option for them. For instance, you become paralyzed and can't walk your high energy dog anymore. But this is not one of those situations. Yeah. And it should be said again that the situations where the dog is very aggressive are very rare. It's not the majority. That's not the case in all of those Craigslist ads. People are lazy and selfish, and they think of animals as lesser beings who are disposable and replaceable, unfortunately. And that's why I spend my time screaming into the void. Someone else who deleted their account said, I was talking to my boyfriend's dad's girlfriend yesterday, and she was telling me about how she knew someone who put their dogs down because they didn't think they'd be safe around their baby. That shit is a whole other level of evil. Yes, and it should be illegal. It absolutely should be. Angry Gnomes 58 said, Jesus, my friends did have to rehome their dog before their son was born, but the dog was very rough around the edges. They consulted 3 different behavior experts, and all 3 strongly advised them to rehome him due to aggression, particularly with small kids. Putting him down was never an option. They ended up giving him to a retired friend who was child-free. He travels the country with her, and they get adorable pictures of him living his best life. On that happy little note, we will end this post. This is a pretty heavy subject, so let me know what you think. Do you know someone who has given up a pet because they got pregnant or had another kid? Have you had to do this with pets of your own for whatever reason? I'd love to know your thoughts. So let me know in the comments what you think. Please like this video if you like it. We are almost to 2,700 subs, and I would just be ecstatic if we could hit 3,000 before the end of this year. So if you are so inclined, please share the videos, like, subscribe, do all the cool YouTube things. And I thank you so much. If you stuck around to the end, you are a real trooper. And I will see you guys in the next video. Thank you so much.